This is the FNGEEN 9001, which is an homage to the Rolex Submariner. Now, I ordered this from China, and the listing stated it was an automatic. But as you can see, it's clearly a quartz movement. But for just $11, including postage and packing, I couldn't expect much more. So, let's have a look at this thing. Good day to you all, and welcome back to another review on BBW. This is the homage to the Rolex Submariner by FNGEEN. This is about the fourth or fifth FNGEEN I've had, and generally I'm quite happy with this brand. So let's have a look at this thing in detail. Now, the measurements are pretty standard and are standard amongst most good homages of the Submariner, whereby you have a 40mm diameter, a 20mm across the strap where the strap meets the case, and most important, in my opinion, is the lug width, where you have a standard 50mm from lug to lug. The depth from the back to the flat mineral crystal is 12mm. With that Cyclops poking up, you're going to get closer to 13mm. The case itself is, it does copy the design of the original Rolex. It's quite a nice representation. It is, obviously, for $11, a chrome-plated alloy, which is quite a fingerprint magnet. Now, the bezel itself, let's look at the bezel first. You have a 60-click bezel. The printing is fine. There's no smudges, there's no overprinting or any misprinting of any kind. So the bezel's not too bad. It's clearly not a ceramic, it's going to be an aluminium. Now, it's a 60-click, and there's quite a lot of resistance, which is good. So it does move quite well. It's not going to move out of position once it's in your, once it's on your wrist and you're moving about, especially when you put your hand in your pocket. I don't think it's going to move out of place, but it does have about, I'd guess, about a half a minute back play, which is pretty good considering the low cost of this watch. So that's the bezel. It's quite a nice bezel. This was only available in one colour, which is this black from FNGEEN, which I do like. But I do have another homage, which is an automatic, which is why I do not and probably will not wear this watch. Hence, I haven't adjusted the strap for my own measurements at all. So the case itself, within the case, the dial, you have a matte black face, and within that you have the standard homage to the Rolex with the profiles. You have dots, which are applied all around, apart from the obligatory upside down triangle at the 12. You have at the 6 and the 9, I guess they're called posts. And at the 3 o'clock, you have the no post or dot, but you have that Cyclops. If this is staring straight at me, yeah, as you can see, the Cyclops isn't centered. It's quite badly positioned. It should be pushing more towards the left there. So looking at it dead on, clearly that isn't centered. Nor is that. I just position that 12 o'clock pip better. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's a nice clicky bezel. So there is it positioned over the 12. So the Cyclops itself is about a 1.5 magnification. As you can see, without it, and then with it. It does quite a good job, although it's off-center, it does work quite well. But as I have said on many of my videos, I don't like date windows too much, and even more, I don't like Cyclops at all. They just protrude like a spot on the face. I don't really like Cyclops at all. The hands themselves are modelled after the Rolex. They are sword hand and Mercedes on the hour hand, with a pip, a loomed pip on the second hand, although this is not loomed, this is white paint. But it does give a good representation of the original hands. Now the second hand itself, as you can see, it does line up with the markers. And I know that annoys some people when it doesn't, but this one is pretty good. It does, as you can see, hit all those markers. Now let's have a look at the minute hand jump, if there is one. So a bad movement should jump once the crown is engaged. Let's do it with the thumb first. I'll try it 3 times. First with the thumb. About 20 seconds backwards there. Now with both thumb and finger. Which, let me get that over there. And nothing there. And with just one finger. Over the 12. Oh. It's quite difficult to get it exactly over that 12 there. Okay, there we go. And engage. About 10-second jump, if that. So no problems there really with the movement. Although this is going to be a bare basic movement from China. But as I've mentioned before in other videos, I've never had a problem with these cheap Chinese movements. They do work. They're basic quartz movements, minimum parts, so they should have no problem. And I haven't, as yet, had a problem with any of my quartz watches. The outside, the perimeter, you have the minute tracks, which are printed. Moving those hands out the way. They haven't got too much resistance, the hands. They're a little bit floppy, more than I'd like. But there you go. They have the applied FNGEEN logo below the 12 o'clock marker and printed above the 6, if you can see that, 100 feet, 30 meters, which is 3 ATM, pretty standard. FNGEEN chronometer, it is not a chronometer, but it is quartz. So 2 out of 3 is okay, for being honest. And there, at the base, just right of the 6 marker, you have S925. I'm not sure what that is because it is actually branded as a 9001. But I often find that these watches, the listing name and the actual name of the watch can often be quite different. This is a 9000. Let me have a closer look at that. If I can zoom in. And oh, it looks like an S925, whatever that is. But let's turn to the back. And you can hear that jingly jangly bracelet. So you have the FNGEEN. You have kind of it's actually quite a nice back. It does appear to be a screw-on, screw-off back, but it's not. It's a pull-off and push-on. But you have the FNGEEN lasered into the center with the logo. Around the outside, you have the specifications, which are, let's try and get a better look at that. 30 meters, 100 feet, water resistant, and a stainless steel back. And yes, it is stainless steel back. Haven't popped it off, but again, it's going to be a very basic movement. I wouldn't expect any more than that. Yeah, but I quite like that back. It's quite nice. They did spend a little bit of time on that. On to the stainless steel bracelet. I'm not sure about this at all. But the first thing that put me off is rolled links. They're not push pin, which is a lot easier to adjust. I find rolled links can make you lose your faith in humanity just by adjusting them. I've given up. I often just pull them off and put on a push pin bracelet. I do not like these at all. They sound really cheap and they're a nightmare to adjust for me. I'm not very good at adjusting these. So if I did want this watch, if I knew I would wear it often, I would change it. And also, look at the fit and finish there. I'm not sure what kind of dance that is, but I don't like it. The bracelet itself, again, It's the lightest, if it is stainless steel, it's as light as I've ever felt in my hands. It really does feel like a handful of paper clips. But you have the brushed outers and the polished inner. And obviously one link is going to be one outer, one inner, and another outer. That's they're not individual. You haven't got a 3 link, this is just a 1 link here. Onto the bare basics of a push clasp there. It does work okay, snaps in fine. And it has micro adjustments for 1, 2, 3. I haven't adjusted this at all because again I don't intend on wearing it since I have an automatic, which is exactly the same but automatic, and it does look and feel much better. No branding on the clasp there. And yeah, these are my worst kind of bracelets and the worst kind of clasps. I don't like these clasps, but you know, it does work. It's not going anywhere. So let's have a look at this thing on the wrist, which I'll have to hold because again I haven't adjusted it to my requirements. Let's have a look at this thing now on the wrist. So here it is on the wrist, and you'll have to excuse me of having to hold it at the back because again I haven't adjusted it and I probably won't adjust it or even change the strap. I'll just leave it in my collection box. So it does resemble in size anyway the original that it is homaging. It's quite a snug fit. As you see, you don't get, if I pull it tight, you don't really get any gaps under the lugs, which is nice. These homages always are a nice fit for the Rolex. Looks pretty good. For $11, it's not a bad watch. Although, it obviously, for the price, you are going to have to deal with quite a few compromises. But again, as I mentioned earlier, compared to other brands of a similar price, I think this is a lot better than others. If that's any suggestion, that it's better than other cheaper brands or brands at the same price. And the awful bracelet. So there you go, that's the FNGEEN 9001 homage to the Rolex Submariner. Now obviously there are dozens and dozens of brands that release homages to the Submariner, and this doesn't stand out amongst them, but when you compare it with the price, again this is just $11, I think this does offer slightly more than other competing brands. So there you go, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again with another watch on the green chair. Until then, as always, take it easy.